Yes. Thank you so much. We are here. We are live. This is Detox Cafe at End Time Sabbath Worship Center. We're so excited that you guys are able to join us. And this evening, we have Myrna Nash with us.
Hey, I hope that everybody is seated and ready for the discussion that we're having. Again, we're so excited to have you guys this evening.
And we're also excited because we had to bring in the expert,
Right.
which is also an author and a musician. Let's just say very multifaceted. So we're excited. We have Acel Jean-Pierre Jr. here with us.
How you guys doing, everybody? It's a pleasure to be here and looking forward to an amazing conversation.
Yes, so the conversation tonight, going straight into it, it's a loaded one. And I feel like it's loaded for us because we grew up Seventh-day Adventists, and then on top of being Seventh-day Adventists, you throw in being Haitian. So there's a lot going on. So before we get into that, we're going to just say a quick word of prayer. And we're going to have Acel pray over us before we get into the conversation.
Dear Heavenly Father, we ask that you may just be with us, be with the listeners. Let this be edifying. Let this be a blessing. Speak to us, through us, and for us. And we promise to give you all the honor and the glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. So tonight we're talking about unmasking the illusions of hookup culture. We see it in social media. There's actually a post today that was said, do you give relationship advice to the person that you're sleeping with? So meaning, and the comment section was, oh, absolutely, I do it all the time. So we see that when it comes to keeping ourselves or moral beliefs on certain things, we see is becoming less and less and less, and certain things are becoming more played in. And it's a shocker for some of us, and for some of us, it's a normal way of living. It's a normal lifestyle. So that's why we wanted to bring in Acel to talk about this when it comes to his book. And we want him to talk more about it as well. So please take the floor and talk about your book.
And before you say anything, not to interrupt, so for anybody that is watching, we have a group here with us in the building, but we are definitely asking everyone right now as we start to send questions, because at the end we'll have a small question session.
Yes.
So start sending it now so we could already take on the group of people that are having questions. Please be open. Feel free. This is a non-judgment room or whatever you want to call it.
Definitely.
We're gonna be real. We're gonna talk about it as raw as we can because it is spoken raw in the world. So we can sugarcoat it or put a religion to it. So definitely let's have the conversation.
Yes.
So, just to make sure I answer correctly, what exactly were you asking me?
So when it comes to your book, we would love to know, when it comes to it on, how do you help people that are single go through practicing celibacy in a safe way?
Got you. Okay, so the premise of my book is the purity for the mind, body, and soul, which is a 21-day purity fast. That's what I call it. And it's basically just a fast designed for 21 days of focusing on not just being celibate, but also putting the right things into your mind, understanding that purity goes beyond what you wear and what you do, and it's environment, it's conversational, it's more of a lifestyle. And so by starting the 21 days, it takes 21 days to create a habit. And so the fast kind of jump starts you into kind of getting closer to God and really taking every aspect of your life and submitting it to God. And so when we talk about celibacy, celibacy started for me around, I want to say, I think I was 23. And I had reached a kind of point in my life where I was like, you know what, Lord, like, I want to submit every aspect of my life to you. And celibacy became one of those things because prior I'd been in a relationship and I was intimate and nothing was really working out, and it ended up being more chaos than it was. And there's this phrase I always say: I hated building towers that I had to eventually tear down. Meaning I hated starting relationships where you talk to this person, you meet their parents, you're going out with them, you're spending money with them, you're buying them gifts and clothes, you're telling them your most intimate things, they're telling you your most intimate things, and then it doesn't work out, and it was just a waste of time and energy. And I just got tired of doing that. So I got to a place where I said, you know what, Lord, I'm surrendering all that I am to you, and I want you to just guide me in every aspect of my life. And so what that turned into was being celibate was a part of it, but I really started to take Proverbs 3:5-6, which is, in all your ways acknowledge him, the verse. And I took all of that. I took it very seriously in every aspect of my life. I started submitting it to God. So when we focus specifically on the aspect of celibacy as a single person, I think there's multiple kind of ways to approach it. There are multiple angles to it, and I would say the most important thing is understanding that it's something that benefits you, even though the world will try and make it seem like sex is this frivolous thing that you can give away and have as much sex as you want, there's no consequences, but that's actually far from the truth. I think there's so much that you gain mentally, physically, and spiritually by practicing celibacy and saving yourself for the person that a lot of people miss out on these benefits because it's countercultural right now.
Right. Now, and I think Myrna and I, we spoke about that, is why is it important to be cautious about who you sleep with, even from beforehand? Because I think a lot of us, we love someone, we get to know them, it's great, the passion's there, and then, I say sometimes you fight, sometimes you take on the spiritual aspect of somebody else, and without even realizing it, you're taking on their generational curses, their troubles, their woes, and that's now coming on you.
Right.
All their STDs.
Right.
Yeah, so let's use it in a practical way. Like, on a practical sense, when you're sleeping with someone, you're exposing whatever you have going on with whatever they have going on a very physical level. So a lot of people are worried about your most common STDs, your most popular ones, HIV, gonorrhea, syphilis, the popular ones,
That's
right?
not the one I was talking about either.
Right. But then there are the more hidden ones, like why am I forgetting that one?
The gifts that
the kissing one. What's the kissing one? It's not syphilis. The one that's on your lip.
Mono?
No. I'm forgetting it. But there's one on your lips that I can't remember the name of it.
We don't remember.
And it can show, and sometimes it doesn't show. So the person can have that STD, kiss you, and you didn't know, and then now you have it. And then that's just the popular ones. Then you have HPV, which is transmitted very, very easily. And the thing about HPV is it doesn't affect men, but it affects women.
Right.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think it can later on lead to like issues with cancer and stuff like that. So that's just the disease aspect of it. So then now when you think about the social aspect of it, you have guys, because they slept with the wrong person, you impregnated the wrong woman, and now you're sitting there giving almost half of your income to the wrong person who should have never had it. You have a child with someone you never wanted to have a child with, and it goes vice versa. A woman sleeps with the wrong guy, has a moment, and now all of a sudden you have a kid with a father you never wanted.
Listen, I am hearing so much noise in the audience because of what you just said, and it is so true, because there's a price to pay. There's a price to pay when it comes to giving yourself too early, giving it to yourself to the wrong person, and the regrets that comes with it afterwards, right?
Right.
But when I was talking about STDs, I was also talking about spiritual transmitted demons.
Yeah.
No.
I wasn't just talking about the physical aspect, because some of that you could cure with antibiotics and things like that. But some of these demons, you got to pray hard. And that's if you know.
That's if you know.
That's if you know. Because sometimes you don't even know that it has happened.
That's a very real thing,
So I have a question for you, because we talk about celibacy, and it's easy to throw that word out. Oh, I want to be celibate, because you're saying that you're trying to withhold yourself from.
Cute.
Right. It sounds real cute, right? And the reality, and that's just the truth, it's not an easy thing to do.
Oh, not at all.
Especially if you were married, especially if you were in relationship in the past, especially if you were already sexually active, it is not easy to just cut it out and say, you know what, I can't. I think that there's so many like dimension to celibacy,
right.
because in reality, someone may just have sex because they're addicted to it. Somebody may just have sex with someone because of what the outcome of having sex, which is the possibility of them spending the night, so the holding you and not feeling alone. So it's not even about the act of literally having sex. They may hate it, but they may like the fact that they're not going to bed alone. Somebody may do it because they want to feel desired.
Right.
Somebody may do it because, I don't know, they want to try something new with this person and they want to add it to their books, you know?
Right.
And so, to me, I think that to each person, having sex means something different.
Right.
You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that I'm literally enjoying you. I may not enjoy you at all. I just maybe have a number in my head that I want to have competition within myself. That is the truth.
And you just need a quick orgasm.
I need to make some money.
That too.
I need to make some money, and I have the body. I was blessed with the face. I was blessed with all the body parts. And so I want to be I was gifted in certain areas, you know, with my mouth. And so I'm going to make that rent money this week. And so when you're asking someone like this to be celibate, now how do you convince them? Because now you have to convince them that God is their sole provider.
Right.
That God is going to take care of every aspect of neglect that they feel. The desire to be held, the desire of not feeling lonely. So to me, when I'm saying to someone that I want to be celibate, it's not just solely because now I'm choosing and I'm empowering myself to assure that the next time I lay in bed with someone, it's going to be the husband that God chose for me. But not only that, I'm training myself to basically hold a commitment of some kind. Maybe I have commitment issue, and that word celibacy is what's teaching me to be committed. So I think that everybody has to identify behind their celibacy. It's not easy to just tell people, hey, don't have sex until you get married.
Right.
Because that sex may be what's paying my rent right now.
Right.
So you telling me not to have sex. So to me, you know, how would you say it? When you're giving this book to someone,
like what advice?
How are you, and it's not that you're choosing to, but what were you thinking behind your mind when you wrote the book, so that when it touched the right hands, that they can apply it to their current situation?
Well, the first thing that you have to understand is that celibacy doesn't exist without God. A lot of people confuse celibacy and abstinence, right? Abstinence is withholding from something.
Right.
There's nothing attached to it. So I can be abstinent from alcohol. I could be abstinent from video games. I could be abstinent from drugs. Abstinence is just I'm withholding myself from whatever activity I choose to be. Celibacy is now when you're withholding yourself from an activity because of a spiritual reason. So celibacy can exist if a relationship with God doesn't exist. So If I'm first linking with somebody and I'm talking to them about God and they've never met God, if I'm being honest, I'm not interested in telling you, oh, you need to start being celibate, because you actually have to know who God is and have to start wanting the desire to develop a relationship. And so now as you start to develop that relationship, God will kind of start to whisper to your heart, like, look, there are certain things certain behaviors in your life that I need you to kind of stop so that I can start blessing you in other ways. It's like, if I want to get in shape, I need to stop eating bad food. So if I'm praying and I'm saying, God, I want to be in better relationships, well, that means you need to stop giving yourself away to the wrong ones.
Right.
So the first understanding is that, okay, this is a person who has a desire to develop a relationship with God. And so now in that aspect, it becomes now, okay, if a person starts to show interest in it, I again, like, even with how I talk about the book, I don't say, hey, be celibate. It's more so, are you trying to develop a closer relationship with God? And so if you are trying to develop a closer relationship with God, that means that any aspect in your life that is opening gateways, right? Because we very tend to be focused on when you sleep with a person, you can their demons come, through you, or they have permission to be around you now, right? Because demons have to be invited in through different gateways. So if a person is entertaining spirits or demons, and now you sleep with them, you have now given these demons permission to now interact with you. But there are also other gateways. The music that you listen to, the things that you watch, even some beverages or paraphernalia, drugs that you take in, you are opening up yourself to spirits.
Right.
So now, if you want to start living a life where the voices that you hear are only God's voice, or you're really trying to make sure that you're in a position where God can really work in your life, well, you have to start closing up the gateways that you've been opening up. So that's why it's purity for the mind, body, and soul. So the things that you are ingesting in your mind, there are things that you have to start listening to. Like, for me, for example, when I started on my journey, there was that Justin Timberlake song that every time I listened to it, it just got me like in a mood to just do something I was supposed to do. And I was like, I have to stop listening to this. And so I stopped. And I started becoming very selective to the music that I was listening to. But then also, too, there were people that I knew, like, I cannot be around you because, one, I'm attracted to you, and two, you're not really trying to help me do this. So it was the book in itself is a lot more encompassing than just the sexual aspect. And the thing that people don't understand is, if you just try to stop having sex, eventually you'll start having sex again, because you're just trying to stop the action.
Exactly.
You have to first
Mentally,
change your mind, which how you're thinking about it and how you approach it. And there was something that you were saying when you were saying sex is not the same thing for everybody. And I could be wrong, but I think what you were trying to say is intimacy is not the same thing for everybody, because sex is sex. Open yourself up, somebody goes inside, that is sex. Now, the people try to attach different definitions to the intimacy. Oh, I can have sex and not feel anything, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, we were in a culture that promotes so much destructive behaviors that it's like you got to ask yourself where this is leading to. Because if you practice having emotionless or unattached sex, then what do you think is going to happen when you are not in a meaningful relationship?
I was just going to say something about that, because you mentioned how for you had to remove yourself from certain songs that you were listening to because it got you ready to go, right? I think that to a certain extent, it could be a little dangerous for some, right? Some may not be triggered by the sound. It may be triggered by a touch or by, the smell of a man.
Right.
Because the thing about it is this, because think about this. We've had people that have practiced celibacy all their lives or abstinence. And when they got married, they had no clue what it was to be able to sexually please their husband, whether it was through intimacy, whether it was through oral sex, or whether it was through the regular way of entrance, right?
Right.
Because they took it such to the extreme of celibacy. I'm celibate. Even if the church was doing a woman ministry event, or there was a sex talk, which we do have here at the church, they wouldn't participate because I'm celibate. I'm practicing abstinence. So much foolishness in that thought process, because at the end of the day, you're telling God that you're withholding yourself for some until you meet the proper person. So you still want to educate yourself. Do you think that educating yourself so you could be the best, because we want to be the best at cooking for some of us. We want to be the best at cleaning We want to be the best as what we look like so that we're always pleasing to our husband. So what is it about educating yourself to be the best in the room so that in the bedroom, your husband don't, as much as you can with prayer, don't have to look around.
Well, and that's where I feel like a sex therapist comes into play and a sex coach. And that's where I feel like even a couple can come together and discuss, we're having certain type of issues or what is the root of it, right? Because yes, it is good to like educate yourself. I believe in that. But some people are very shy, just like how we spoke about it. They're shy about the topic. And then if they grew up in church, like we say, do we actually believe that the church has done such a great job? Well, let's say for our generation in talking about sexual desires and passion through dating, through marriage, like we never had these type of talks before. You know what I'm saying? It was don't have sex and where's your husband?
Some of us.
Like it was a straight switch. It was don't have sex and then now if you're having sex behind your parents' back and it's like, well, where's your husband? And then you're like,
or as soon as you get married, where are the babies? You're like, well, how do you make them?
Well, like, how do you make them? Yeah. So, and I feel like that's why these type of conversations is important. And that's why I found out recently there's a difference between a sex therapist and a sex coach.
Yeah, I did.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, I didn't even know about that. That's why I feel like even educating ourselves on, okay, well, let's say I was abstinent. Some people, and I heard this lady say it, and it's so true. Sometimes we become celibate to the point of we scare our own selves. We deprive our own selves of even wanting the intimacy because of heartbreak. So we have to go to the root.
Right.
Just like you said before. You have to go to the root. And that's where a sex therapist helps. Like, oh, okay, well, what happened though? Some of our first sexual encounters wasn't our husband or a boyfriend. It was a molester.
Or a rapist.
Or a rapist. Some of our first encounters was that. So now when someone's trying to get you to do something, you're almost like protecting yourself.
Yeah.
It's almost like a closed-up wall that you don't want to get hurt sexually. And then now if you feel like you're not even performing well, or now you're with someone that's had great experience.
And you suck. You suck.
And
like,
you
suck.
want me to do flips in the air. And I'm like, I'm trying to master missionary.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is just laying on your back for those that... So I have a question for you, Asel.
Yeah.
When somebody tells you they're celibate or they're practicing abstinence, a lot of people relate it with an act of someone else being in the room. But they forget that there's also the act of being by yourself in your room, and it's still abstinence and celibacy.
Yeah, celibacy is no sexual gratification.
If you are masturbating,
marriage.
my friends, you are not practicing celibacy. Just want you to know.
Nope. And at the same time, and that's why we have these detox talks, because, and that's my question to you as well, there's highs and lows of celibacy. You can, sometimes some of us, just like we said, we become celibate over a heartbreak. And now we meet somebody else and they're like knight in shining armor. Or she's everything that you wanted in a wife. So now passions are flowing, things are moving, and then, you want to see what's up.
So there's a lot that you guys said. So I'll start with that first one. If a person is using their virginity or their celibacy as a badge of honor, oh, I'm a virgin, oh, I'm a celibacy, you've completely missed the point.
Yes,
and
thank you.
It becomes...
Say that again.
It's if you use it as a badge of honor, you've missed the point. And it's the same concept of like, oh, I go to church on Saturday, or I go to church all the time, or I don't eat this and I don't wear that. And it's like you've missed the point, because we are not saved by the things that we do. We are saved by grace, right? So there's literally nothing we could do that would ever earn us salvation.
Yes.
That being, if you move forward and you feel like God loves you more than other people because you're still a virgin, you were a virgin for all of the wrong reasons.
Yes.
Which is why usually people like that tend to either fall apart or they just kind of can't function, because their whole relationship with God is based on them being this perfect person, and the moment that they're no longer perfect, they fall completely apart.
Right.
Celibacy for me wasn't, oh, it's trying to be perfect. It was, I am developing a closer relationship with God. So it was all based on having a closer relationship with God. So now, as a person, when that becomes your focus, you never see celibacy as a badge of honor, because when you have a relationship with God, God will point out to you all the areas in your life in which you are a mess. So you would never try to find pride in one aspect where you're getting it right when you know there's 17 others that you're still struggling in.
Exactly. That's so true.
And so now, when we talk about education, right, I definitely think that, sex therapy, sex coaching is viable things. One myth that I will debunk right now, a lot of people think that, oh, when you watch pornography, that's how you can learn. But the reality is pornography is a myth. It's what you're looking at is fake. These are paid actors who you'll see a person, maybe they're going for 45 minutes, an hour straight. And in reality, they stopped, took a take, took a break, took a nap, came back. Like, it's not real. And so young men and women watch this thing thinking that this is real depictions of sex. Then you now cast these unrealistic expectations on your real life human partner, and it doesn't work. It doesn't function like that. Like, I was watching a study the other day, and it was talking about the length and time in which, like, how long is intercourse from penetration to orgasm, like how long is too long or how long is whatever. And so the survey was like 3 minutes is way too short, and between 7 to 10 minutes is just about right, and anything over like 15 minutes is too long.
What?
So again, everybody's, but we're talking,
everyone's different.
we're talking from the moment of penetration.
Okay.
So, but there are some aspects of that that's realistic, not the whole experience. We're just talking about that.
Okay.
But what pornography will show you is a very exaggerated thing, which is fake. So. For me, and I give the very practical answer, when a person first learns anything, they're not good at it. But I don't feel like when God created sex, he made something very complicated.
No.
The man has the key, the woman has the lock. It's a very simple thing. The thing that people need to work on is their ability to communicate and their ability to listen. And I always say this thing. I lost my virginity at 18, and I was having sex up until 23. So, ironically, the way it worked out was I was having sex for 5 years, then I stopped having sex for 5 years. And then when it came to me and my wife, all of the things that worked back then were completely useless because my wife's body was completely unique, completely different, and I had to learn completely from scratch. And that's going to be the majority of every man's experience because no two bodies are the same. So feeling like because I slept with other women, I'm going to be a master at my wife, it's actually a lie because your wife will like different things. She will experience different things, and all the things that work for them won't work for her. And that's just in that phase of her life. Your wife's body will react to certain things before kids. It will react to different things during kids, and it will react to different things after while she's pregnant, and then after, and then age, menopause, all these things. So it's like as a husband,
before your period, after your period.
So as a husband,
before your mood swings. After your mood swings.
And sex at 25.
The way you spoke to me today.
Not the same as sex at 30.
After you spoke to me.
So as you guys can see, women are crazy. You just got to keep up with it. But the reality is like, as a husband, to win the game isn't to be sleeping with a bunch of women before you find your wife. It's actually to be developing the skills in which you learn how to listen and respond to the things that your wife or your partner likes so that you can react in real time and make the changes. And then also have conversation afterwards. Like, I mentioned this at a marriage talk that I had once before, and I said, I don't know why married couples don't do something that I call practice sex, where it's like we will have sex with the intention isn't to orgasm or to have fun. It's literally we're just gonna do it, and we're gonna stop and be like, how'd that feel? Did you like that?
Is that a whole conversation?
That's it. It's conversational. It's literally for exploratory terms.
So cool.
It's not to be hot and heavy or to do it. It's like, hey, I'm gonna try this. How'd that feel? You like that? And then by doing that, right? You are able to kind of talk through the experience. I didn't like this. Maybe if we put a pillow here on my back here, or I didn't need this, or left that, whatever. And it's like everything else in life, we're able to kind of ask questions. When you try to get a degree, you are able to talk to your teachers and ask for information. So that's why I said the most important thing now not becomes, oh, let me sleep with other women. It becomes, are you developing the skills that allow you to communicate and listen freely and clearly with you and your partner? And if you're able to do that, you'll be fine.
Yeah, and I think with celibacy, I feel like during that time, and I like what you said on, some people, I think even I had a personal friend say her roommate, her goal is to sleep with 3 different guys in the same week. And I said, why is she doing that? And she's like, oh, she just wants to feel multiple orgasms from different people. And and I said, wow, such a different way of thinking.
It's the culture.
And that's the culture right now. And it's such a different thing. And for me as a young woman, well, I said this on Detoxified, and my mom has always said this. She's like, Sha, I'm not telling you not to have sex. I'm telling you, if you lay with this person, if they go on top of a mountain and they scream it out to the whole world, are you okay with it? Are you fine with that? So I never had the don't have sex speech. I had the, what are your principles in that moment? What are your values? If this person gets you pregnant right now, can they take care of you? Are you okay with this person mentally? Are they supportive of you emotionally? You know, like, so do you even want to give yourself to this person? I got to a point where even if I dated someone, if I felt off, I'm not kissing you. Because even that alone is very intimate. So even in certain sexual relations, you know, and I'm not promoting fornication. I just want to say that out there. I'm not promoting that. It's just that those that are probably going through low periods right now, some high urges right now, the person that you are considering to even want to do something with, really think about it. Really say, am I protecting myself? Can I even see myself marrying this person? Can this person take care of a kid? Can they father a person?
My thing is not only that, do they want to even commit to me?
That part.
Do they care about me in that level to where we're just having a good time? But one thing too, for me right now that I'm experiencing, I don't know why when that birthday clock turned and I turned 40, I promise you, to me, it was like the end of the world. It's still somewhat the end of the world. Some people I'm looking at others that are way older than me, and they're rejoicing. They look great. But for me, it's like I'm starting so many things over. It's like, okay, I'm saying, okay, I'm going to practice celibacy. And I'm like, Lord, how long is celibacy going to be? Because my sexual appetite
is so much higher.
It is so much higher. First of all, at this stage, I used to hear adults say it, right?
Yeah, they're like, wait.
But I don't know what happened. But
they always say that.
It just increased. And I know some people may feel the same way that are watching us. It just increased. And it's like talking to you in the back. Like, hey, what's up? You hear me? You feel me? You feel me? Like, do you feel the vibration? Or it's like you're changing panties every day. I mean, multiple times a day. And it's just like this thing of, Lord, how long is it going to be? So then now the focus is so much on that I had to literally talk to myself and say, all right, I don't got to rush anything. I just have to know that it's going to come at the right time. And I had to process, like you mentioned, what you said is so well, what celibacy meant.
Right.
Because it wasn't just now, check mark, I didn't have sex today. Check mark, for those that are doing it, I didn't masturbate today. Check mark. Like, it becomes this calendar.
It feels like a chore.
It's like a chore.
When it's your down days.
Exactly.
And you're like, God, please hold me. Keep me.
Or it's easier when you're single. You know what I mean? But then when you're talking to someone or you have interest, all of the ideas of
I don't think it's easier when you're single.
No, when I say that, I say, like, for some people, it may be easier in the mindset of you don't have that temptation right then and there.
Listen, when I was...
I feel like guys or women, I feel like they have more when they're single.
So let's say January 1st, I made the commitment to be celibate. The very next day, I was offered it. Like, I was looking for it. I wasn't asking. I didn't call nobody. I was offered it
for free.
And that 5 years of me trying to be, no, not trying because I was. That 5 years of me being celibate until I was married, I was offered the most than I had ever.
Did you mess up one time?
No.
Be honest.
No. So, and I'm honest about this. I never had sex with anybody. I kissed I had moments where I kissed people. I had moments where I got dangerously close, but I never ever crossed that line. because
Cross that line of penetration.
I didn't put nothing in nobody.
Okay.
So
No. But I'm
I
saying.
didn't put nothing in nobody. We're leaving right there. And so the reason, I didn't have sex with anybody.
Okay.
And it was a learning experience for me too, because at first I thought maybe it was enough just for me to tell people, hey, I'm celibate, it's whatever. And I learned very quickly that people will pray with you, and they'll be like, we're praying for God. And those same people that are praying with you are the same people that are trying to sleep with you.
Yeah.
And so what people don't understand, what people don't understand, be careful who you pray with, because they may be praying on you. Praying. But
There's
oh
a
my
difference.
God.
There's a difference.
And this is why I say it's so much more than sex, because that time period is when I learned all of the lessons and the things that I needed to prepare me for marriage. For example, I learned to stop entertaining or feeling the need to constantly have female attention. And what I mean by that is like, yeah, I'm not going out with you, we're not hanging out, but what I'm doing is I'm doing just enough that you'll check on me, you'll text me, you'll laugh with me, and kind of give me that attention to feed me. And I remember when God told me, like, cut this person off. And I was like, for what? They're not doing anything. I'm not doing anything. Yeah, but you're feeding the attention. And so I started cutting that off. So it's like I had nobody in my life who liked me that I was talking to.
Wow.
And so and I was doing this 3-4 years before I was even married. And also learning that just because I tell a person I'm celibate, I kind of put the responsibility on them to respect my boundaries. And then when they didn't, it was kind of like, oh, why didn't you do that? And I started realizing I need to take control of these. So now, by the time when I got married, I didn't have no pictures or crazy videos from my past in my phone, because I got rid of all of that. I didn't have nobody in my life. So I could go to sleep. My wife could go through my phone. I'm not worried about anything, because I tell her all the time, I don't do nothing. But I've been doing that for 5 years prior. And the biggest thing that, and I think this is especially important for men, is you have to have a season in your life where you push yourself or you practice sexual discipline. Because the thing that is destroying men left and right is their lack of sexual discipline.
Yes.
That's why you see a lot of these athletes with 5-7 baby mamas, and that becomes the end of them, because they get a check for something million, but more than half of that is going to mom, 1, 2, 3, whatever. And then you have, guys who are not as wealthy still in the same problem. You're destroying the relationships that matter to you because of lack of sexual discipline. And you have to understand, if you are living a lifestyle where you're talking to 5-6 different girls, then you find that one girl who's just so amazing, don't think that that's going to just change everything and undo all the bad habits that you had. It will be good for the months that it's good, but as every relationship and every marriage goes, there are moments where you go through your tough times and your lows, and you will go back to what your nature is. And if your nature was talking to a bunch of females, or when one female's not giving you attention, you talk to another, you're going to do the same thing with your wife. So you have to have a period of your time. Really should be your whole life, but you should really come to a place where it's like, you know what, I need to be sexually disciplined. I need to practice celibacy, not just of my body, but also of my mind, also of my heart, to prepare me for the will and the purpose that God has for me. Because even if God's will for you is not to be married, even if it is his purpose for you is to be something else, by sitting there and entertaining other people or giving things away or not being disciplined in that way, you will ruin what God had for you. And the thing that a lot of people don't realize is not everybody that you come in contact to you're supposed to have romantic relationships with.
That's true.
There are people who I've met in my life that, looking back now, I 100% regret that I pursued anything romantic with them, because they would have been the perfect business partners for this season of my life.
Oh, wow.
But because at that time I just looked at them as another person to talk to, I ruined, and it's not even that we're enemies, but there were boundaries and lines that were crossed, and it's like the purpose that they actually have for my life, it can't be
there now.
Exactly. So it's just so layered. That's why it's just like, you know what? Don't even bother dabbling into that, because it comes with way more problems than it solves. And I don't care what society and culture tries to push as glamorizing it. Trust me, a lot of people crying alone at night, a lot of people suffering, and a lot of people hide their loneliness with anger and be like, I'm going to do what I want, and you can church me, whatever. Listen, I'm going to leave it there.
That is so true.
Yeah, tomorrow, part 2, we're going to get into the whole, what can the church adapt to address celibacy, sexual acts, like these type of things, because we don't get a lot of these talks within church context, like the spiritual side, the memory verses. Even the memory verse for tonight was on 1 Corinthians 7, verse 7 and 9, where it says, hey, stay unmarried, but look, if they're struggling, get married. Because God knows. Mm-hmm. He knows. He made us sexual beings. We have our temptations, especially if you have broken up with a longtime partner, right? There are people in common law situations. They're not married, but they've been with that one person their whole life.
Or they're still, or let's touch our Haitian culture who don't know how to divorce when it's needed. Not that I'm encouraging it. So they're still living in the same home and separate rooms, but then when this hypes up,
right,
then it's okay.
Right. And then tomorrow we want to really discuss on the pitfalls on having multiple partners and what that does to you mentally, emotionally, and physically as well. It really plays a big part in our mental health, because that whole thing on everyone saying come healed, mm-hmm. Well, then we all should fast. Mm-hmm. So we're definitely going to get more into that tomorrow, the pitfalls, how the church can help in these talks, because kids are having sex in these days and age at the age of 12, mm-hmm. age of 13. You're seeing pregnancies at 14. So these conversations, they're needed. And I think we hear too much of don't have sex, and we don't hear so much on sex is beautiful in the right context with the right one within marriage. They always hear it. No, like, no. Mm-hmm. Well, no, talk about how gorgeous it is. And now that you shared it with multiple people, you just made it less. And the devil wants that. He wants us to, he muddied up sex when it's a beautiful thing. So we're definitely going to get into that for part 2. And Acel's going to be here. We're going to get more into the details.
And we're going to be on time.
So I'd like to thank Myrna for being here this evening, our beautiful co-host. And we'd like to thank Acel Jean-Pierre being here. We'd like to thank our viewers. We'd like to thank everyone that came live in person, that showed up this evening. And we look forward to seeing you tomorrow evening at Detox Cafe.